What is up, ladies and gentle nerds? It's another edition of Overthinking MTG, the unscripted, unedited show where we take a look at usually a random Magic card, but today we're going to be looking at a Strixhaven spoiler, and we're going to enjoy, well, we're going to have some fun as we do it. I'm telling you, unscripted, unedited. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. Let's take a look at what card we're looking at today. Today we are looking at Codie Vociferous Codex. It's a book named Codie. I'm just going to appreciate that for a moment. Let's just stop right there. Codie. All right, anyway, so Codie Vociferous Codex, it costs 3 for a 1/4. You can't cast permanent spells. Now, that is a major downside. Major downside. So what do we get as the upside to this? You can pay 4, tap it to add Wooburg. So you pay 4 mana of any color, you tap, you add 1 mana of each color to your mana pool. When you cast your next spell this turn, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile an instant or sorcery card with lesser mana value. Until end of turn, you may cast that card without paying its mana cost. Put each other card exiled this way on the bottom of your library in a random order. So it gives a random spell. It gives whatever spell you cast, effectively Cascade. And on top of that, it ramps you. And so this is definitely designed for spell slinger scenarios because you can't play permanent spells. So that's a little bit of a drawback. But the other thing that I want to point out is how beautiful this is on curve. So on turns 1 and 2, you just play your lands and do whatever. But on turn 3, you play Codie Vociferous Codex. And then on turn 4, Codie gives you access to 5 mana from which you can cast 2 spells. Granted, one of them is random, but still. So you cast a 5-drop spell on turn 4 and then cascade into a random, 3 or 2 drop or 3 or 4 drop from your library. That's amazing. If you've built your deck around Codie, you can do some incredible things with that. So, Lorehold Command just comes to mind right out of the gate as a 5-drop that could be really valuable here, as well as, actually, and even then, you don't need 5 drops in your deck. You could also run things like Genesis Ultimatum. Now, you can't cast it right on. Now, actually, the ultimatums, come to think of it, the fact that this gives you Wooburg actually really helps with preventing you from playing ultimatums with Codie, which I'm just now realizing. Because the ultimatums have such incredibly specific mana costs, or specific mana colors within the cost, the fact that this produces Wooburg means that you're only getting value of 3 mana from Codie if you're trying to play an ultimatum. So actually, never mind. So ultimatums actually aren't the greatest idea with Codie now that I really take a look at it. Did I mention it cascades? Yeah, and on top of that, you actually get a 1/4 blocker, which is pretty meaningful in and of itself. So the fact that you can't cast permanent spells does not mean that you cannot have permanents in your deck, by the way. Now, I mentioned Genesis Ultimatum as a way of potentially pulling cards out. If you have large, powerful creatures in there, like Coma, for example, and you hit something with, say, Transmogrify, you could Transmogrify Codie into Coma, or any token into Coma with Codie Vociferous Codex. That would work. So if you have a number of 5-drops in your deck, say, you could actually, if you have a number of token generators, you could actually Codie into, you could play a 5-drop, cascade it into and Transmogrify, turn Codie into Coma, and then you'd end up having a Coma on the battlefield on turn 5. Not to mention you would have also resolved, say, a Lorehold Command or some other, or a Time Warp if you're in Historic, because that's going to be Historic legal now. So you can do all kinds of fun, crazy things. Although Time Warp, I believe, has 2 blue. Anyway, so that would have to be turn 6. Oh no, whatever shall we do? Or no, turn 5. Sorry, not even turn 6. Oh my goodness. And on top of that, so Codie is also colorless. So it fixes your mana, it ramps you, it cascades, so you free cast with it. I think this card is great. Now, that said, I don't think this is a bomb. And the thing that's really preventing this from going into full-on bomb territory is the restriction that you can't cast permanent spells. That is a massive restriction. Because the first thing that I think of when I think of permanents is creatures. But it's not just creatures. It's also artifacts. It's also enchantments. So this cuts out all your sagas. This cuts out all your auras, every artifact, which is a lot of cards. Basically, if you would cast it and it sticks on the battlefield, you can't cast it. Now, if you would cast the spell and it results in something else coming onto the battlefield, or it produces a token, that's fine. Those can stick around, but the permanents themselves can't. I feel like that really takes Codie and puts it into a fun build around or a really cool commander, because it is legendary. This is a legendary card, so you could put this as at the helm of a 5-color commander deck that has no permanents in it, and instead it's designed to be 5-color Cascade. You can do some really fun stuff with that, and I know I want to try. I want to see what we can do with that. So yeah, so this is Codie the Vociferous Codex. I get a kick out of it. It's also currently the pet on Arena if you were to pre-order the Strixhaven bundles, which I gotta be honest, I'm very much tempted to, because not only do we get access to just a cool pet because it's a book named Codie, I still can't get over that name. I'm sorry. It's just, for the life of me, no matter what else I see with this card, I see a book named Codie. A codex named Codie. It's just so cute. The cuteness. And on top of that, the book itself, so looking at the artwork, it looks like a book with an eye. Actually, I'm having a tough time understanding, is the mouth supposed to be how is the book supposed to open up into a mouth, or is it supposed to look sideways? I can't quite tell the orientation of the head as a book because it only has one eye. It has a singular eye in the smack dab in the middle of the cover, and so as a result, there's no real way to orient it. There's no second eye to tell you which way's up or not, because the angle of it's at a 50-degree angle. Well, it's not quite a 45-degree angle. It's at this weird askew angle. So it's really impossible to tell. And for the life of me, I'm having a tough time. Now, that said, actually, looking at the artwork, I would imagine that it's supposed to open the mouth. I'd imagine it has a mouth, and that's the book itself. So it would actually open like an animal mouth would. However, if you look at the character on Arena, the actual the pet that you can get on Arena that is Codie, I believe the face is actually oriented as though the book is standing upright, almost like it's a face out on a bookshelf, as though it was sitting with the face forward to be on display. Which actually would make sense, because in addition to the book itself, there's actually a what looks like a wrought iron stand that it's perched on top of that appears to be animated as though it has come to life as a part of the book. So not only do you have the book, you also have the stand on which the book is sitting, and that allows it to walk as though it had legs, which, again, is just cute. I'm getting a crazy Beauty and the Beast vibes off of this, and I dig it. And on top of that, it actually shows the Codex just walking around on what looks like the equivalent of Strixhaven's quad. It almost looks like it's walking around in a garden kind of situation, as though it's just outside. Which leads me to believe that when you're walking around Strixhaven, animated books might just walk past you. I gotta say, that's freaking cool, and it fits the idea of magical college very beautifully. So actually, another thought that I'm having about this is a lot of people joke about how Strixhaven is just Harry Potter, and a lot of people make the jokes that Strixhaven is in fact Harry Potter, and yes, animated books were within Harry Potter as well, I know. But at the end of the day, I feel like Strixhaven has its own unique identity, and to be honest, as someone who was fortunate enough to go to college for 4 years, I do feel like it's the atmosphere that I'm getting from Strixhaven is more the collegiate atmosphere and not the Hogwarts atmosphere. So I'm not getting British boarding school vibes. I'm getting, American four-year college vibes from it. That's the vibe I'm getting, and I'm really grateful for that. I really appreciate it. Those are some great years, and and I think the fact that this is kind of reminding me of that time is really special and really cool. So I like Strixhaven all in all, and a book named Codie. I'm a big fan. I can't wait to get my hands on this as a weird draft build around, just to see if I can do it, which, to be honest, I probably can't, because it would be so incredibly specific, because you need really good 4 and 5 dropped spells, not permanents, which, granted, if there's ever going to be a limited environment that has enough spells, it's probably going to be Strixhaven, because not only do we have all the lessons and all the instants and sorceries amongst Strixhaven itself, we also have the Mystical Archive, which is draft legal. So I feel like being able to pull a time warp with a Codie down, all of a sudden, you're in excuse me, you're in business. You can do stuff with that. You can absolutely hit 5 drops into 4 drops and 3 drops. And you know, the fact that it allows you to cascade, and you don't even need to spend that 5 mana on the spell. It's just if you activate Codie and you cast a spell, you get to do that cascade. Granted, you'll be spending that mana because why wouldn't you? Because the mana also, unlike cards like Gigantha, the mana doesn't have any restrictions on its use. So there's nothing saying that you have to only spend that mana on colored elements of the mana value, which is pretty cool. So I gotta say, all in all, I really like this card. I think Codie has the chops to really do something cool. So yeah, Weird Draft Build Around, great commander card. I think that this is like fringe standard playable in some janky brews. I don't think it's going to see any like high level competitive play in standard or historic. I could be proven wrong on that. There could be a weird combo deck where this is just the thing that sets it off. But I think in all likelihood, this is going to be a fun, janky build around that I'm going to try. But I know it's probably not going to appeal to the spiky players out there. But yeah, this has been super fun. Thank you so much. My name is Graham, also known as HamHawks42 on the internet. If you've enjoyed this, please like and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. If you're listening on a podcast, please don't hesitate to give a review on your favorite podcast app. It helps a ton. Yeah, and you can also catch me out on Twitch. Twitch.tv/HamHawks42. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Don't forget, you're a good person and you deserve to be happy. I'll catch you next time.